Hi, I am the guy you may know by the name of Umziky, and this is my project, All the Same. Since I came in second in Image Line's FL Studio demo song competition, some people have been asking me to maybe show how I made some of the things that I have here in the project. So I thought I'd just walk you through the project, go over some of the different sounds and talk about everything that comes through my mind. If you haven't actually heard the song, I suggest you go listen to it on Image Line's YouTube channel because they have it. And I will upload my own version once I have one with vocals from one of my friends, because that is coming in the future. So yeah, someone asked me how I made the piano. It sounds like this. Now it's quite simple. It's from Direct Wave, just of course one of the stock FL stock plugins and samples, because that's what this whole thing was about. You can find it in instruments and keyboard. It was closed grand or grand piano. I'm not sure which one because it just says FL piano here. Oh, grand piano, right? Now. The only thing that's really going on here in Direct Wave itself is we have this note velocity linked to filter 1 cutoff, and what that does is just gives a bit more of a dynamic and realistic sound to a piano, because the sampled piano doesn't have different notes for different velocities of one key. It just has one sample per key, and then it's up to the filter to give it a smoother sound if you don't hit it so hard. So other than the sound just going more silent, being less loud when you don't hit it so hard, it also it cuts off some of the highs to make it sound more realistic. Now, of course, when you're making piano, that is really important. If you listen here, or look at this, look at the velocities of the keys, of the notes. Now, these chords are all pretty much the same, all the same, but in things like it makes it a lot more articulate, a lot more emotional, and that's all that matters. But yeah, the next sound I thought I'd talk about is this one. Now, it's also from Direct Wave. It's the jazz guitar kit. It's in the same folder. Now, notable things that are happening here is, for example, this. We have a Zone LFO2 linked to voice pan. Now, what that does, if you listen closely. Hang on, let me just turn off the effects. You can hopefully hear that it's panning around just slightly from left to right and back and forth, and so it just makes it more interesting and bigger. And then I have, of course, some delay and reverb. Which is nice. Now, I won't talk in depth about everything, of course, because you'll have this project yourself, so you can just check all the individual parameters if they interest you once you get the project. But yeah, I'll just talk about what's interesting, what I think you might find interesting. Yeah, drums. Right. So a big challenge, of course, when making a track from scratch with just FL plugins and samples, is finding good drum samples, and that is a challenge. Even though you can use anything from anywhere, because finding good samples can be hard. However, if you can do some studio magic and trickery, you can get some nice results. Here we have a kick, just some EQ. Oh wait, it's clipping like shit. Okay, so let's put some compression on it. Nice, that sort of tames it and makes it way more thumpier. And some reverb. You might not always want to add reverb to your kick, but in this track it fits because it's got this big and kind of washed out sounds. Yeah. Now the snare. It's got a lot of layers. Well, it's got 3 layers. This one. Oh no, let me just turn on. This, and now this first one, the meat of the snare. It's actually the FL default club snare that comes with a lot of, not comes, but it's in the project, what's it called? Project template. It's in the basic project template with the kick, clap, hi-hat, and snare. And it's a snare, which it's actually a good snare, it's got a nice punch to it. And now what I did here is actually I pitched it to fit the key of the song better. And there's some EQ and wave shaping, nothing crazy. And then the tail here, that's just some white noise from Citrus. Got the noise here turned all the way up, and volume envelope here, and then just an EQ that gives it the character that it needs to blend in with the snare. And then I have this element from a real snare sound, which is nice. I like to not have my drums sound way like really electronic. I like them to sound sort of acoustic and real. So if you want to do that, what you can do is here's what the sample sounds like. And so if you want to layer it with another snare, what you can do is, well, you could just have the frequencies that you want and then compress the shit out of it. Check this out. Wait. Oh. So, the transient doesn't pop out too much because you want to use the transient of another sound. And now these all 3 go to this snare bus, which just has a bit of compression and reverb on it. Now for a lot of the other drum samples that I used some FPC kits, and this one, for example, I think it's GM kit. I think because it says here GM, right? Whatever. So it had some. I went through a lot of these. Now these don't come with stock FL Studio technically, but they're free on the Image Line website to download. So that's why they allowed us to use them. Now from this one I used the toms and the hats as seen Now I have them routed to different channels, Thompson hats here, to be able to mix them separately. Now the way you do that is by, here I have the the right is going there, but anyways, it's the output offset. So if you set it to 5, it's gonna be 11 plus 5, so it goes to channel 16. So you can have a bit more control. And then there's all these different samples and stuff. Very helpful, I know. Sorry, my first tutorial. So what else? I think it's time we jump into the big D. The drop. So yeah. Now there's only a couple sounds going on there. We have the drums, of course. And then this. And the lead. And this thing is going on throughout almost the entire song. So yeah, these sounds, we have this bass sound. Now, almost all my bass sounds are made with Harmor, because it's like my favorite plugin. It's got the usual bass stuff going on. A bit of unison and distortion. And the thing that these sounds in this part of the song have in common is this LFO. Hang on, that's not it. This LFO of the cutoff, so it sort of swells up and then goes back down. Like so, and these other sounds do it as well. Actually, not that one, but the lead does it. So that makes a nice effect. Now, the stutter effect that you're hearing here is accomplished by using gross beat on each of the individual channels, and I just have the release here linked to the same automation clip. Now, the reason, instead of automating the on and off of the gross beat, you can just have the release so high that you actually don't hear the gating effect at all, and then turn it down so it goes faster and you can start hearing it, and it can make you get this. So yeah, that's how I did that. Now over to the fun part. Right, so there's a bunch of sounds going on. What do I do? So, yeah. When the chords hit, these are the two main things that are going on. Now, this is just a big saw detuned, a bit of distortion for some reason, and the frequency goes up like that. Now that's how you make that, and then add a lot of reverb and you're set. Nice. And then this bass, I like to use the phaser a lot because it you can get some nice movement in your basses. A bit of prism engaged here. And of course, what's really important in this sound is this vocodex, because that's what gives it that bubbly, growly character, so it doesn't sound so dry. Okay, nice. Now, the next thing, this is kind of a sound that I haven't heard in a lot of other people's tracks. We have these two sounds. Hang on, let me just fix my shit. Consists of this, which is just a saw wave going into a limiter, which is actually distorting it because the attack and release are so fast that it starts actually wave shaping. Now, that's later with this Rhodes, which comes out of direct wave, piano Rhodes. And the thing that makes this sound what it is that it's playing these notes that are really close to each other. Which gives it that dissonance, and on top of that, it's being distorted. So that's why it's sort of like wobbling or beating, which sounds kind of cool. And then I have some variations of this first sound. I just do different envelopes here with the filter and the phaser. To get these slightly different sounds to be used in different places off the drop. Now that is probably one of my favorite sounds from here. Nice and growly. Now that is actually a patch. It's not even going through vocodex, even though it sounds kind of like it maybe would. Now, so I have the sub of the sound, or the low end of the sound, going separately, so all these effects don't affect it. And there's a high pass filter, which is being automated. And that's what the little automation clip does. And then a bunch of choruses and overdrives. And yeah. Once again, all the usual stuff, you know. A lot of my bass sounds are kind of similar. You know, using the phaser and filters, and you know the drill, right? Now the next sound, I'm just gonna go through all of them. This is one that someone also asks about specifically, and it's the same sound. It just has a different speed. So what's happening here? Is we have a patcher patch. Same thing with the sub going separately here, and what gives this sound its character is the resonance, because it's all the way up there, and then having an envelope on the filter frequency. And yeah, that's because the resonance is so high that it sort of rings out as an own note. If I didn't have that, it sounds kind of lame. And you know, add that in with the distortion, you get this really harsh and sick sound. Now, this element of it, you can hear it's stuttering like that, is accomplished actually through, let me show you. So I have an LFO on the volume. Now that's what does this. Da, 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 da. So global LFO amount linked to modulation Y, right? Now in the piano roll, I actually used slide notes to bring up the modulation Y, because we have a note here and another note which is a slide note which has modulation Y turned up. So that basically is the same thing as if you were to automate up the modulation Y. Cool. So this sound isn't really anything special, but yeah. Now let's talk about these strings. They also come out of direct wave, as you can see. Now, what is nice to do when you try to make realistic sounding strings is just automating all the volume envelope properties of it to make it to be able to articulate a bit better. So what I have here, for example, is the release. I bring up the release right here to make sure these two notes ring out a bit longer over these, because it works. And here, bring up the attack for these last notes. Things like that, you know, are worth playing with. Otherwise, you know, the strings sound good as they are. Not really much that you can customize here. You know, I have no effects on them. So the next part here before the drop is nothing special. I have a bit more going on than in the previous build, because there's this snare roll, rolling snare going on. And also I didn't talk about this, but this is just a reversed piano. We got it here as well, and it's you know, reversed things can sound really nice. You just record it in Edison and reverse it, and oh, here we also have like a faster ARP going on. Sounds really cool. Now, some of the effects that I recorded myself include the shaker sound. It's really subtle, and also this. Now that is the sound of me sliding a guitar pick over the low E string. It's really slow, and yeah, just a bunch of effects on that, in case you were wondering about those, because like they were my own. Now in the next drop we have guitar solo. Yeah, I just had to play the entire solo. Anyway, yeah, that's me playing. I recorded that myself. Now, it was of course a challenge to get a good sound, but I couldn't use native instruments, guitar rig, which I would normally use, just because it's a lot faster and more convenient and easier. But here, well, without effects, it just sounds like a plain guitar, clean. Really lame. So I got some compression. Image lines, hardcore, just for the distortion. The rest of it, I don't really like the cabinet simulator and whatnot. So I did my own with Fruity Convolver, because it kind of acts the same way. Then some EQ to get more of the tone out of it, and then there's delay and reverb and whatnot. And the cool thing here at the beginning is this lob filter. Well, it's just a low pass filter. Did that. So yeah. Now there isn't much different here in the second drop than the first one. It's the second part is twice as long. And well, the piano is coming in also towards the end, which is kind of questionable because you don't really hear it in the mix. Well, you do, but I'm not sure it even fits in so well, but it's there. And then, you know, the bass sounds are all doing the same thing. Then there's that fill, because, you know, it's starting, it's gonna come one more time, and the club is going wild. Now, a thing that is happening is that these chords that are being played by this synth, they're building up all the way towards the end, so they're just getting high. They're just getting higher and higher all the time. Which, you know, gets it real powerful right before it ends, because I didn't want to make it too complicated, just add on more things or whatever. I wanted to use what I already had and just make it more powerful. Or maybe I was just lazy, but that's beside the point. So yeah, I think I've covered most of what's going on here. If you have any questions, or if you hate me for some reason, just leave a comment and I'll surely respond, because I'm not that famous yet. But yeah, glad this track was well received, and hope you enjoy playing with the project and checking it out yourself. Until next time, take care.